Germanwings Flight 9525 was a scheduled international passenger flight from Barcelona El Prat Airport in Spain to Düsseldorf Airport in Germany. The flight was operated by Germanwings, a low-cost airline owned by German airline Lufthansa. On March 24, 2015, an Airbus A320-211 crashed 100 kilometers northwest of Nice in the French Alps. All 144 passengers and all 6 crew members died. Why did Germanwings Flight 9525 crash? And what exactly happened in Germanwings Flight 9525? 149 of the 150 people on the plane didn't know that we were about to die. Let's dive into this case. 24-year-old Airbus, a 320-211, serial number 147, operated by Captain 34-year-old Patrick Sondenheimer, who had 10 years of experience flying the Airbus A320 and 6,000 flight hours of experience. The co-pilot is 27-year-old Andreas Lubitz, who joined Germanwings in September 2013 and has 630 hours of flight time, 540 of which were on Airbus A320s. Germanwings Flight 9525 took off from runway 07R at Barcelona El Prat Airport on the 24th of March 2015 at 10:01 a.m. It was planned to arrive at Düsseldorf Airport by 11:39. The Airbus 320 reached an altitude of 38,000 feet in the next half hour and began its journey across the sea towards France. At 9:30, the aircraft made its final contact with air traffic control. Everything was going exactly as planned. Shortly thereafter, the captain told the co-pilot that he was exiting the cockpit and asked him to take over radio communications. In the recording, the sound of the cockpit door opening and closing can be heard. Seconds later, before 9:31, the cruising altitude was changed from 38,000 feet to 100 feet, and the aircraft began a rapid descent. At 9:33, the aircraft picked up speed. This caused shock and confusion for air traffic control. They immediately contacted the co-pilot, but there was no response from the co-pilot, whilst Captain Sondenheimer desperately banged on the door. Then he can be heard desperately yelling, "Open the damn door!" But no reply from Lubitz, captain trying to smash his way in with a metal object, but like most cockpit doors built after the September 11th attacks, it had been reinforced to prevent entry. During the descent, the co-pilot did not respond to questions from Marseille Air Traffic Control and did not send a distress call. Voices knocking to open the door can be heard until the end of the recording. Lubitz did not say a single word. His breathing also remained eerily normal. Crew members and air traffic control frantically tried to get him to respond. Although usually emergency codes would be provided to allow the flight crew access to the controls, Lubitz is believed to have overridden them. At 9:39, violent banging on the cockpit door was recorded on 5 occasions in 1 minute. The flight crew of another plane also tried to communicate with the cockpit by radio at this time. Over the next minute, 93 seconds before impact, low amplitude inputs were recorded on the co-pilot's flight controls, but the level of motion was too low to disengage the autopilot, so the input caused no change in flight path. The pull-up warning was triggered at 9:40:41, and it continues until the end of the recording at 9 hours 41 minutes and 6 seconds. The Airbus descended at about 4,000 feet per minute. Last radar contact at 09:40:47 was 6,175 feet. At the end of the recording, passengers can be heard screaming. The plane hit the mountain at 700 km/h. The crash site is within the Trois-Évêches Massif, east of the hamlet of Le Vernet, in an area known as l'Avant du Rosé, beyond the road to Marriott Pass. The plane crashed on the southern side of the Tête du Travers mountain range, a small peak on the lower western slope of the Tête de l'Estrop mountain range, at an altitude of 1,550 m. The National Gendarmerie and Security Service sent helicopters to find the wreckage. The plane had collapsed. The largest wreckage was the size of a car. A helicopter landed near the crash site. Personnel confirmed there were no survivors. Search and rescue teams reported that the rubble area spanned 2 square kilometers. Who was co-pilot Andreas Lubitz? Andreas Gunther Rubitz was born on December 18, 1987, and grew up in Neuburg an der Donau, Bavaria, and Germany. Lubitz took flying lessons at the Luftsport Club Westerwald in Montalban and was accepted into the Lufthansa training program after graduating high school. In September 2008, he began his training at the Lufthansa Flight Training School in Bremen, Germany. He suspended pilot training in November 2008 after being hospitalized for severe depression. Rubitz returned to the Lufthansa school in August 2009 after a psychiatrist determined that the depressive episode had completely resolved. Mr. Rubitz moved to the United States in November 2010 and continued his training at the Lufthansa Flight Training Center in Goodyear, Arizona. From June 2011 to December 2013, he worked as a flight attendant at Lufthansa German Airlines while training for a commercial pilot license and joined Germanwings as a co-pilot in June 2014. 3 days after the crash, German detectives removed Lubitz's computers and other belongings for examination. They found no indication or evidence that his actions were motivated by political or religious motivation. While searching Lubitz's apartment, detectives found a doctor's letter declaring him unfit to work. Germanwings said it had not received a flight day medical report from Lubitz. News accounts said Lubitz hid his illness from his employer. Under German law, employers cannot access an employee's medical records, and a search of Lubitz's home found evidence that he had a mental illness and was taking prescription medication. Criminal investigators said Lubitz's web searches on his tablet computer in the days before the crash included how to commit suicide and cockpit doors and their safety measures. The investigation into Lubitz found that he received treatment for suicidal tendencies before training as a civilian pilot and was temporarily denied a U.S. pilot's license because of these treatments for psychotic depression. It has been found. Over the years, Rubitz often had trouble sleeping because of vision problems. He consulted more than 40 doctors and feared he would go blind. Motivated by the fear of losing his pilot's license due to blindness, he began researching online methods of suicide before deciding to crash Flight 9525. In any case, it is a pity that the passengers should not have died. Don't forget to click subscribe if you want more investigation videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.